So do you have questions?
No, not really. Yes, I have. Sorry. Do you see any link between the Merkaba and the spherical pattern of the six element theory? Do you see any kind of connection?
Well, the Merkaba is that spherical geodesic design, right? That's has 12 faces on it. It's one of the Platonic solids, and they work with that and build off of that. And that's what it is. That's what the spherical pattern is. It's blending down 12 archetypes into that human idea form that creates the seed. And then everything we're going to be is implanted in that seed. And from that seed, we can only be who we are. We can't be a tree, we can't be a dog, we can't be a whale, we can't be a plant. We can only be a human being. That's all we can be. So when people say that there's reincarnation, like reincarnating as a dog or reincarnating as another animal, nope, we don't actually do that. Because in our seed, we're only meant to grow as a human being. That's the only thing we can be. So that seed is also called the human idea, the human form. Because within it, within that Merkaba, within that spherical pattern, is the information that that seed will grow with. And it only contains the human form. So the animals have their own seeds from which they grow to create their form of reincarnation. But from what I've heard from the advanced mystics, we can't really know what goes on with the other forms of life. We can know that they're different, but they're not like us. They don't have the same path. And when they've gone very deep, like Stylianos Sateshlis, very deep into the creation of life, there's archetypes, there's archangels, there's thrones, way close to God, where things begin to develop. And then from there, they develop even more until you have the whole diversity of life. The human idea started very, very close to God. The other animals didn't start so close. So we are very close to so that to an extent, we can understand God. We can be conscious with God because we were created so close to God. This is like many, many dimensions beyond that spherical pattern. Many, many more dimensions beyond that were forming even before the spherical pattern was formed. And so once that spherical pattern is formed, this idea of a human being goes into it, and it's very advanced. So we are special beings in that sense, in our ability to understand things. Because we look around, the other animals can't understand what we can. And that's because we're very close, in our creation, we're very close to God. So the animals can only go so far if they try to understand God, they can only go so far. But as human beings, we can go farther to understand God because we have the capacities to do that built into us.
So the animals would not evolve to become another type of beings. They will probably keep the eternity in this kind of being, in this level of being.
We don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
It's because there's the understanding of that is it's like that advanced understanding of that is we don't really know because there's other angels in charge of that and they understand that process. And it's not something that we can understand, the extent to which animals can ascend towards God, we don't know. Because it's like something that we're not grown to understand. It's not within us to understand that. When we reach that high state, we'll understand that. But as we're growing in our consciousness as human beings, we're not going to really understand what's going on with the animals. We just know they're different. So, but, you know, all we can do is kind of like maybe guess. But to really know, we don't have that knowledge. We're not made with that knowledge. Maybe someday.
Did Stilianos mention any time if we kind of migrate from between planets according to our evolution state? Or do you have any thought about this?
You mean like living on another part of the universe in another planet?
Yes, according to our evolution level, if we keep moving to other planets and other even dimensions for sure, probably.
Well, he has talked about in his deeper meditations, he has had contact with people, beings from other planets. They don't, it hasn't been talked about a lot because it's so hard to understand. When you meet somebody from another planet, how do you communicate? And what can you learn? There's a very deep level of communication that they had. And I don't know what they talked about. I don't know how the meeting went. You know, I don't know what they expressed and what they talked about and what they shared and what they could understand together. But if they're at that level, meeting each other and meeting each other like that, you know that the beings on the other planet are very high, very advanced in their understanding of God because they've gone very, very high in order to meet with like the most advanced mystics from our planet. And the most advanced mystics from the other planet and the most advanced mystics from our planet have learned to meet. And what they talk about is the most advanced knowledge, the most advanced understanding. And I'm sure it would be a beautiful conversation. But it's something that we know happened, we know exists. It has been verified that there are people from other planets. Do we go there? Can we live on different planets? I remember a life on another planet. So yes, we can move across. In the physical body, we're kind of trapped right here on the surface of the earth. In the psychic body, we can travel outside of the physical body, almost to the moon, and sometimes to the moon. When we go into the noetical body, we can travel to any planet in our solar system. When we go into that seventh heaven with a spherical pattern, then we can go anywhere in the universe. And that's where they are. They're at that very highest level of human consciousness, knowing where they can travel to. They're at that spherical pattern, that Merkaba. They're there. They're in that consciousness. And anything is possible. They can go anywhere. They can see everything. But they know that there's this developmental process that our souls have to create a personality. Our souls have to create life in order to live and develop. That's the story. That's the divine plan. But mystics have been able to go back through their understanding to that original level of the soul and then be able to see the universe and contact beings around the universe So it's a very deep and advanced story, what life is. And it's nothing unusual. It's just like when we're ready, it happens.
Yes. And there are some people that say that we are kind of trapped here in the earth, that earth would be considered kind of, I don't know if you have heard about this, a kind of a prison planet, because we keep on the samsara um, wheel, and we keep being born and then live and then die and forget everything and then born again, and then we keep doing the same all the time. And the ideal is us to keep our conscience and not reincarnate with this condition of forgetting about everything we did, we was. So we were. So this is would be the kind of prison that we are living here in Earth.
You know, it's interesting to put it that way, as a prison. Because what did Buddha teach? Buddha taught disattachment. And somebody asked Stylianos one time, why is it so hard to break this cycle of reincarnation, right? What can we do? And Stylianos replied, it's very easy, actually. He says, all you have to do is just make a decision to leave. And in that is that whole, untie yourself, detach yourself from the world, detach yourself from life. When you're ready just to detach and let life be, you can move on. You just have to detach. You've got loved ones, you've got your job, you've got your kitchen, your clothes, all these things that you love. Just imagine emotionally just not caring about those things anymore. You just don't care whether they live or die or get washed or not. You don't care. Just let it go. And Jesus talked about that when some guy says, Jesus, I want to follow you, but just hold on 1 second. I have to go back and say goodbye to my family, my parents and everything. It was in the Bible. And then Jesus said, if you need to go back and say goodbye, you're not ready yet. So in that, Jesus was also teaching detachment. If we don't detach, if we don't just release the world, it will feel like a prison. Because we can't leave. We don't allow ourselves to leave. We're creating our own prison, is the idea. But if we want to leave, we just make that decision and do it. And then everybody you love, all the knowledge you want to learn, all the experiences in acupuncture, everything you want, you just let it go. Your family, your father, your mother, your sisters, your brothers, everybody, just let it go. It just doesn't matter anymore. When you can reach that point, then you can break out of the prison.
Yes. And actually, if we don't let them go, it would not make any difference, because if we born again in the planet, we will forget. So I will not be with, they will not be the same to me anymore. So yeah, doesn't make us, yeah. We
Well, the memory is still inside of us. We've talked about elementals before, right?
yes.
Where every thought, every desire, every experience forms a little packet of mental, emotional memory. And it's a living thing that can leave through between your eyes, through that third eye area, can leave and come back. It can leave through your solar plexus. These elementals exist from lifetime to lifetime within that spherical pattern. And so the soul, the consciousness of the soul around the spherical pattern is always conscious of those memories. But when we get projected as a personality, we are actually an elemental. And when we've when we've completed our life and we come back and get assimilated back into the soul, we no longer grow anymore. We never learn anything more. We've stopped. And then we're just like this memory that will never develop or change. It can never learn anything more. If it wanted to learn the piano or learn a new language or meet somebody and talk, it can't. It's just a memory. So what we are right now is an elemental projection of our soul. How many people in this world understand that? You might be able to count on your fingers. That spherical pattern, there's a consciousness soul around it. It projects a consciousness to live. But it gives that consciousness only certain memories. But we have the ability to grow in our consciousness and connect back to the memories of the soul. So in a sense, we are the soul, but we have to break out of this shell that we're in so that we can become conscious of really who we are, what we've done, all of our lives, our soul, and everything.
That is what we achieve doing the regression therapy, right? When you remember, no?
This is deeper. This is deeper. This is getting the soul consciousness. Is making our personality consciousness. Our personality consciousness is connected to the soul consciousness. When we can follow back that connection and unite the two, then we become conscious as our souls are. And our souls are conscious of way more than we know. Like in this moment, everything that is happening is being recorded by our souls. Everything, all of our thoughts, all of our feelings, our movements, the temperature of the air on our skin, the light, the sounds, everything that we can't really hear because we're focused in on our conversation. Our soul is actually aware of sounds, changes in light, temperature around us, and is remembering all of those things. It's aware of absolutely everything that we could not be conscious of so much. We would not be able to talk. We would not be able to express a thought because it's like there's too much in our consciousness. We're conscious of way too much to be able to focus down to one thought. unless you develop concentration at that very highest level, that you're aware of everything, but then you can also talk about specific things. And so it's developing this personality consciousness to reach that level. So just going into a regression to see a past life is so different. It's like you're being given impressions from the soul saying, okay, you want to know a few things? Here, let me feed you a few thoughts into your mind. But it's different when you say, no, soul, I want to be with you. I want to blend my consciousness with yours. And then once you do that, it's very different. So you understand that, right? If you go into regression, your soul will give you some things. And you still have to discern whether those things are from your soul or not. They might just be memories or thoughts that other people might have fed you. So you're still not sure if the regression was true or not, because you're being given visions, but you really don't know where those visions came from. Where I'm going with this is that you want to go back to the soul where the real true information is, and then blend your consciousness there. And then you'll know that all the information that you're seeing is true. And you'll have better access to these things. So it's a whole different level. So people who do regression, sometimes it's like the blind leading the blind. And that they don't really know if they're seeing the truth or not. And along this path, we have to have that detachment. Otherwise, we become susceptible. We become vulnerable. You say, I want to know who I was in a past life. I want to know, it's important. Well, if you want to know that bad, you can create something in your mind. Or different elementals around you or in your history will then say, okay, well, here's something, take this. Okay, now I know. But you don't know if it's true or not, because all you wanted was an experience to remember. And that memory can come from your soul, which would be true, or it could come from other entities, or it could come from memories, or it could come from other elementals that exist around where you live. You don't know. Because all of a sudden you see something and you think, oh, this must be the truth. But most times nowadays, it's not the truth. There's too many elementals. There's too many thoughts. There's too many visions that we've seen from television to movies to books to everything. It's too hard to separate the real truth of our soul from what we've experienced. So that's where it's going to become even harder for us to detach.
Yeah.
Break ourselves out of this prison. And like Jesus said, the truth will set you free. And that once you see that truth, and once you reach that truth and blend with that truth, you will be set free from this prison.
Yes. And then keep going, keep progressing, evolving to other experiences, not just these the same one as human beings.
There's something I learned in the morning from one of the other students from Stilianos. You know the silver cord? When you leave your body and there's that silver cord?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Someone was asking a question about some people leave their bodies and don't see the silver cord. Other people leave their bodies and do see the silver cord. What's all up with that? So it was kind of a long answer, kind of an in-depth answer. One part of it, one part of the answer, I'll give you two parts of the answer, is that when people leave their body, we're still in that shell. You know, it's like we're surrounded by this light that surrounds us. And what we're seeing is being reflected off of the surface of that shell. So if I think I'm outside of my body, I'm imagining this within my own shell. And so I may not see my silver cord because I'm actually just experiencing the moment of feeling like I'm outside of my body. So I may not see the silver cord in that point because I'm not actually seeing me connected to the physical body. I'm seeing visions around me. I'm not actually seeing me and my physical body. I'm imagining it. So I'm not going to see the silver cord. These little tricks to know where your consciousness is. So when you get to the point where you can actually see the silver cord, then you have to ask yourself, am I imagining this silver cord? And then you have to learn to discern the truth. You know, you leave your body, you say, hey, I saw the silver cord. You still have to find out if that was your imagination or if it was true. That's how tricky this stuff is. But, you know, in acupuncture where we have the three dantians, like the solar plexus, the chest, and the head. There's a qigong exercise of going around the three dantians. The silver cord that connects to our soul. Our soul is with that spherical pattern. Projects out us as a personality. And we have these different bodies, a physical body, emotional body, and a mental body. It projects them out through this silver cord. So the silver cord connects back to the soul. Is that the silver cord comes in and connects to three places in our body. The silver cord will come in and connect to our solar plexus and to our heart and to our head. So that silver cord is connecting in those three dantians.
Oh.
This is advanced knowledge. You know, these little advanced pieces of information come out. And it's very unusual to hear something like that. To know that people usually just say the silver cord connects back into your solar plexus.
Yes.
Well, yeah, that's where it's connecting back into the physical body. But it also connects to our psychic body, and it also connects to our mental body. Those three dantians. And acupuncture has this knowledge. So when the physical body dies, that one part of the cord that connects to our solar plexus is cut. It's just cut. And we move on out of the physical body. When our psychic, emotional body dies, it's cut here. And all that's left is that connection to the mental body. The silver cord is only connecting to the mental body. And then when our personality ultimately goes back, it goes back in through that silver cord to the spherical pattern. It's cut, and all that memory just goes right back in to the soul. So the bodies that we used were separated, were cut from the bodies. And the only thing that exists at that point is our personality, memory, consciousness that just goes back into the spherical